Let's begin today by coming down to the floor, and let's start lying down on the floor. Our legs are stretched out long, and our arms are down by our side, palms facing up. If you have lower back issues, bend your knees, place your feet on the floor, knees pointed up to the ceiling, and your legs are together. This is a restorative pose. It helps take some of the pressure off your low back. Now let's begin to focus on our breath. Feeling the wave of your breath as you inhale and exhale. Our everyday breath is shallow. In yoga, we focus on lengthening our breath, nice and slow and deep. We breathe to help our body relax so that we can move into our poses. Breathing also brings calm and stillness to our mind. Now let's bring our attention to this space, right here and right now. Let's clear our mind of any thoughts of the outside world, preparing ourselves for our yoga practice today. So we're going to begin by coming into that restorative position. So if you're not there already, bend your knees, placing your feet on the floor, knees pointed up to the ceiling, legs together. And we're going to inhale, and as we exhale, we're going to let our knees open up like a book. Our right knee will go right, our left knee will go left, nice and slow. This is a hip opening position. It's called Reclined Butterfly. If you'd like to add another stretch, place your arms over your head, arms on the floor above your head, palms facing up, giving us a nice stretch along our whole front body. Now let's breathe and relax into this shape. Nice long inhale, exhale as we relax down. Now let's bring our arms back down by our sides and begin to pick our knees up so they're pointed back up toward the ceiling. Now leaving your knees touching, we're going to heel toe our feet out to the sides. So your right foot will move right, your left foot will move left. If you're using a yoga mat today, go to about the edge of your mat. Otherwise, go out as far as it feels comfortable for you. So we've made a little pyramid shape with our legs right now. This is a hip closer. It's a counter stretch to what we just did. In yoga, we do a lot of counter poses. We move our body in one way, and then we move it in the opposite direction to complement what we just did. Now let's pick your knees up so that they're pointing back to the ceiling and begin to move our feet in toward each other, but not so that they're touching. We want a little bit of space between them, about hip distance apart. We're going to prepare ourselves for the bridge pose right now. So your palms should be on the floor now, fingertips pointing away from you toward your heel, and your gaze should be up. Don't turn your head side to side. We want to keep our neck safe. So as we inhale, we're going to push into our heels and lift our hips up toward the ceiling. Pushing up. Inhale, pushing up, feeling a nice stretch in our thighs. But we want to keep our knees and thighs hugging in. We don't want our legs splaying out to the side. One more big push up. Exhale as we come down nice and slow, one vertebrae at a time. When your back touches the floor, we're going to hug our knees into our chest by picking our feet up off the floor and placing our hands on our shins or behind our thighs. We never want to grab our knees. That puts stress on the joint. So we want to hug our knees in and begin to gently rock side to side, right to left, nice and slow, massaging our back. This is also loosening our hips up a little more. Now let's come back to center, and leaving your hands where they're at, let's begin to make small circles in one direction. Pretend there's a pencil on your knees and you're drawing circles on the ceiling. So we're making nice small circles, going in one direction, loosening our hips up more here. Nice subtle movement. Now let's begin to go in the opposite direction. In yoga, we don't need to make big movements. We can still get the benefit by just making small motions. Now let's come back to center. Release your hands. Place your feet back on the floor. And we're going to come up into a crossed leg seated position. So we're sitting on the floor. Our legs are crossed in front of us. And this is uncomfortable for some people, especially if you have tight hips. If this is the case for you, move your feet away from your body a little bit so that your ankles are more crossed. This can help take a little bit of the pressure off and maybe a little more comfortable for you. Now we want the weight of our upper body directly over our hips. Now place the back of your hands on your knees, palms facing up, or you can place your hands in your lap, whichever is more comfortable for you. Now let's sit up nice and tall, focusing on that nice long line from the crown of our head all the way down to the base of our spine. In yoga, we do a lot with spinal alignment. So good for our posture. It can help alleviate back, neck, and shoulder pain. Let's take a couple of breaths here, sitting nice and tall. Inhale as we stretch up. Exhale as we settle down. Inhale up, settle down. Our hips are grounded to the earth. Now in yoga, we also do a lot with spinal flexion. So we're going to do a spinal twist. So we're going to begin by placing our right hand behind our right hip, palm on the floor, and our right arm is going to be right up against our body, acting like a little kickstand to help us sit up nice and tall. So as we inhale, our left arm is going to go up to the ceiling, fingers pointed up. And as we exhale, we're going to bring that left hand down and we're going to place it on our right leg, just above our right knee. We're going to inhale nice and tall. And as we exhale, we're going to begin to turn to the right. Nice and slow, our head and shoulders will turn to the right. Inhale tall, exhale as we keep turning to the right. Going to our edge, going to where we feel a nice twist, but never forcing. Inhale up, exhale turning. When we get to our edge, we pause. Now let's turn back forward. So now we're facing forward again, placing our back of our hands back on our knees. Inhale nice and tall. Exhale to reset. Now let's place our left hand behind our left hip, palm on the floor. Now let's inhale our right arm up, stretching it up nice and long. Exhale, bring that right hand down, placing it on our left leg, just above the knee. Nice big inhale, tall. Exhale, turning and twisting to the left this time. Shoulders and head moving slowly to the left. Inhale, tall. Exhale, turning, wringing out our spine. Going to where it feels good, never forcing. Maybe we're at our edge, maybe we're not. Now let's turn and come back to center, facing forward. Now let's inhale both arms up this time, both arms stretching up to the ceiling. Now we're going to tuck our chin and begin to round down and forward as we exhale, coming down, placing our hands either on our legs or on the floor in front of us. And we want to relax our head. Our head will be hanging heavy, lengthening and stretching our neck, stretching our upper back. Inhale, maybe we come up a bit. Exhale as we sink a little farther. Maintaining that breath, stretching our inner thighs. Let's inhale, come sitting back up. Now let's uncross our legs and come forward into a hands and knees position. Now we're on our hands and knees, and we want our hands directly under our shoulders, fingers spread nice and wide like a starfish. This helps take some of the stress off of our wrists. We want our knees directly under our hips. The shins and the top of the feet are resting on the floor. Our gaze is down, looking at the floor, so we have one long line, nice straight back. We call this tabletop position in yoga. Now from here, we're going to do some more spinal flexion work. We're going to do what we call cow and cat in yoga, and we're going to be linking breath with movement. So as we inhale, our head and tailbone are going to rise and our belly will drop down to the floor. And as we exhale, our head and tailbone will drop and our back will arch up like an angry cat, pushing your back up to the ceiling. Inhale, head and tailbone lift, belly drops. And we're going to reverse this movement, linking the breath to the movement, doing this at your own pace, nice and slow. Feeling the miracle of the flexion of your back. Perhaps when you're back up into cat with your back arched up to the ceiling, you shift your weight slightly forward and back. This is just an option, just giving you a little more opportunity to feel a different stretch. Keep moving, nice and slow. Now let's come back to a neutral tabletop position. Now we're going to stretch our shoulders. And I know many of us have had shoulder injuries. We have tight shoulders. So I want you to be slow and deliberate in how you move into this. We call this puppy pose in yoga. So we're going to leave our hips exactly where they're at over our knees. And we're going to begin to walk our hands forward away from us, bringing our chest and head down toward the floor. Moving nice and slow. Maybe your forehead comes down to the floor. Maybe it doesn't. It's okay. It's all about what's feeling good for your body. If this gets to be a little too intense, you can place your forearms on the floor. Moving to our limit, where we feel that stretch, but never feeling any pain. Pausing when we come there. Now let's begin to rise back up, walking our hands back in. So we're back into our neutral table position. And from here, we're going to come to a standing position. So we're going to pick up our right foot, placing it between our hands. We're going to pick up our left foot, putting it next to our right foot. And we're going to come to a standing position. Now we want our feet about hip distance apart. And if you're not sure what that is, make a fist with each hand. Put those two fists together. Reach down, place that between your feet, and that's about hip distance. So we're standing, our feet are hip distance apart, our arms are relaxed by our side, palms shining forward. Our chin is slightly tucked, and again, we want to focus on that nice straight spine. This may be a little uncomfortable for you. Most of us slouch and slump throughout the day, so this may feel a little weird, but it's so good for our posture. Now, many of us also have stiff necks, so we're going to do a little bit of stretching for our neck now. So as we inhale, we're going to tip our head over to the right, so that our right ear is just hovering above our right shoulder. And we want to keep our shoulders level and relaxed down. Don't hunch them up. So we're getting a nice stretch in the left side of our neck. Maintaining that breath so we can relax. Now we're going to do a modified neck roll. So we're going to swivel our chin down and to the right so that we're looking over the top of our right shoulder. Inhale, swiveling it back up. Exhale, swiveling down to the right, looking over that right shoulder. Coming back up. One more, going back down. Inhale as we come back up. Now pick your head back up. Nice big inhale. Exhale as we tip our head to the left. Left ear hovering over the left shoulder. Softening those shoulders down. You may notice that you're a little more tight on one side. That's okay. That's normal. Our body isn't symmetrical. Nice stretch on the right side of the neck this time. Now let's inhale and let's swivel our chin down and to the left, looking over that left shoulder. Swiveling back up, back down to the left, looking over that left shoulder. Moving back up. One more time, down to the left. Nice and slow, let's come back up and let's pick our head back up. Now we're going to do a little bit more with spinal flexion. So we're going to do a lateral stretch of our spine this time. Yoga moves our spine in many different directions. So we're going to place our right palm on the outside of our right hip on our thigh. And we're going to inhale our left arm up, fingertips pointed toward the ceiling. And as we exhale, we're going to lift up out of our waist, bending and stretching to the right. Nice and slow, bending to the right. Our right hand begins to slide down the outer right thigh. Inhale up and over, stretching it over to the right, getting a nice stretch along our whole left side body. One more up and over. Exhale, let's come back, standing up straight. Bring that left arm down and let's shake it out. Now we're going to do the other side. So we're going to place our left palm on the outside of our left thigh. Inhale, that right arm goes up, stretching it way up. Exhale as we side bend to the left this time. Up and over to the left. Left hand slides down. Thinking about extending, not just bending, arching up and over left. Nice stretch on the right side of the body this time. Going to our edge. Now let's come back up to center. Bring that right arm down, shaking it out. Now let's do a nice big inhale and bring both arms up and over our head this time, fingertips pointed up to the ceiling. Now let's bring our fingertips so that they're touching. So we're making a little pyramid shape over our head. And we're going to hang out here for a few moments, building strength in our arms. If you want to challenge yourself, maybe you bring those arms back by your ears. Now we're going to do what we call a forward fold in yoga. So when I tell you, we're going to inhale nice and tall, and as we exhale, we're going to begin to fold forward and down, and we're going to do this at a nice slow count of 5. So we're going to inhale up, exhale, hinging at the hips, folding forward and down, 5, 4, moving down to the floor, 3, 2, 1. Now our upper body is hanging nice and loose. We call this Ragdoll Pose in yoga. Breathing so we can relax. If this is a little too much on your hamstrings, bend your knees. That'll take some of the stress off. If you feel you need more stretch in your hamstrings, keep those legs straight and shift your weight forward a little bit. Keep breathing. This is also a great stretch for our lower back. Letting our upper body hang heavy. Now we're going to do what we call a halfway lift. So when we inhale, we're going to lift our body halfway. Our arms are going to come out to the side like wings. So let's inhale, come up. Our upper body and arms are parallel to the floor. This is great for our core. We're using our core strength to hold us up here. Exhale, fold it back in. Arms come down. Placing your palms on the floor, bending your knees. Let's come down to the floor. Sitting down, stretching our legs out in front of us, back of the legs on the floor, toes pointed up, arms down by our side, palms on the floor, sitting nice and tall. This is staff pose. Now let's begin to V our legs out, right leg going to the right, left leg going to the left, making a big V shape with our legs now. Let's inhale both arms up to the ceiling. Let's turn to the right, facing our right leg. And as we exhale, we're going to fold down over our right leg. But I don't want you to round here. I want a straight back. So think about pulling your head and chest forward. Your hands can be either on your legs or on the floor, whichever's more comfortable. Inhale, exhale as we fold a little deeper. Or not, maybe you're only moving an inch. It's all about what you feel. Getting a stretch in that left inner thigh. Inhale, come back up to center, facing forward now. Inhale, our arms are up over our head. Let's turn over and face that left leg. Exhale as we fold down over that left leg. Bringing that head and chest forward, keeping that back straight. Our legs are still active and engaged here, toes pointed up to the ceiling. Inhale, exhale as we go to our edge, feeling that stretch in the right inner thigh this time. Inhaling, coming back up to center, facing forward. Now this time we're going to tuck our chin and fold forward and down, rounding our back, placing our palms on the floor between our legs. Inhale, exhale as we walk our hands forward away from us, rounding down and forward, letting our head hang heavy and relaxed, stretching our neck, our upper back, getting a stretch in both inner thighs now. Going to where it feels good, but never feeling pain. Let's inhale, coming back, sitting back up, bringing our hands down, and let's bring our legs together. And we're going to end our yoga class how we started. So we're going to come laying down on our back. Our legs are out long. Our arms are down by our side, palms facing up. In yoga, palms facing up is the attitude of receiving all that good energy. If you need to take that restorative pose, bend your knees, placing your feet on the floor, knees pointed up to the ceiling, legs together. And we're going to prepare for a relaxation. We always end the yoga class with a relaxation as we gather all the benefit of the work we've just done. We're going to breathe nice and slow, and we're going to remain in quiet and stillness for about a couple minutes here. We call this Savasana. Now let's begin to come back to awareness. Bring some small movements. Begin to wiggle our fingers and our toes. And we're going to do one final full body stretch. Legs out long, pointing our toes, arms overhead, stretching it out. Now let's hug our knees into our chest, picking our feet up off the floor, grabbing our shins or behind our thighs, gently rocking side to side, right to left, giving a little more love to our spine. Now let's roll down on one side, our favorite side, coming into a fetal position. And we want to pause here, thanking ourselves. Yoga gives us permission to take time out of our crazy, hectic lives to do something that's good for us. Taking a moment here to enjoy this. Now let's come up to a seated position, closing our eyes, bringing our hands to heart center in Anjali Mudra. Couple of nice breaths here. I want to thank you all so much for sharing your yoga practice with me today. The light within me humbly bows and honors the light within each and every one of you today. Namaste.